Are you looking for a simple way to cook a prime rib roast without breaking the bank? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, I will be showing you how to cook this rib roast that I picked up from Aldi that will make you the best host for an Easter or Christmas dinner. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Backyard Pit Lab, where we are going to be cooking this beef rib roast today. I picked this one up from Aldi for $9 per pound. This is a 9.55 pound rib roast, USDA choice. If you have insight to when you're gonna be cooking it, it is best to dry brine the beef the day before you're gonna be cooking it. Let's see how it is. I've never bought rib roast from Aldi before, but they were running a sale the week before Easter for $9 per pound. If you actually look at Kroger's weekly ad, they are running a special for the same exact thing, USDA choice rib roast for $9 per pound. The idea is that when we put the dry brine on the beef, is that we want to dry it out overnight in the fridge so that we can get a really good bark onto the rib roast. So here it is. This is the rib roast from Aldi. They have a nice little fat cap here. I think it has pretty good marbling, if you can see that. I will be brining with some coarse kosher salt. You do not need to go light on the salt. On a big piece of meat like this, the salt needs to penetrate all the way inside to the center of the meat. All right, so I've salted all sides of the meat. You have an option now to go ahead and put on the rest of the rub, or letting the salt kind of penetrate the meat by itself, allowing the salt to dissolve in order to get more surface to put the rub and the seasoning onto the meat. But tomorrow I'm going to be spending a lot of time with family and friends, and so I would like to go ahead and apply the rub. This rub is made out of 2 parts black pepper, 1 part garlic powder, 1 part onion powder, 1 part paprika, and a ½ part of honey powder just to add a little bit of sweetness. Again, folks, we are not afraid of over seasoning the steaks, as most of this will be on the top part of your steak and the bottom part of your steak, as the outer edges will only be 1 slice on each side. And so the more seasoning you can, the better. All right, I think that's about all the sides, and I usually leave the fat cap right here on the top for last in order to get that presentation, just a little bit more salt. As we rotate it around, some of the salt kind of falls off, and want to make sure that this gets a really good dry brine overnight. And as you slice it this way, the middle piece will only get seasoning from the top and the bottom layer, so the chances of that being over seasoned is pretty low. You can use any traditional rubs, all-purpose seasoning rub. So since we are going to be smoking it and searing it, what we call a reverse sear, I would advise avoiding heavy sugar rubs. Sugar tends to burn and cook a lot faster than your other rubs. And that's it, folks. That is going in the fridge tonight for 24 hours before I cook it, and hopefully develop this beautiful crust for tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. Happy Easter. This is the day 2 of my prime rib roast. This is where we actually get to cook it. So this is my Weber kettle. I don't know if you guys can see it that far, but we're gonna go ahead and get the charcoal started, and we'll go from there. As you can see, I have some leftover charcoal from my previous cook that I'm gonna be reusing. I'm just using a Kingsford charcoal briquettes. You probably also see the wood chunks in there. I'm going to be using this Texas honey mesquite. The wood chunk that's already in there is post oak. And so I'm gonna pick out one, probably a small chunk like this, to go ahead and get the fire started. The meat is going to be absorbing the most smoke flavor in the beginning of the cook, and this is where I'm going to be starting the cook, right here on this side. And so I want to make sure the wood is laid here at the beginning of the cook, and most of the charcoal will kind of carry through the rest of the cook. I'm actually gonna try this charcoal starter today. I have been using some tumbleweeds to start up my charcoal, but I want to try this $20 Walmart charcoal starter to see if it works, and I can maybe save some money in the long run by using this instead of tumbleweeds. So while we wait for this charcoal grill to heat up and the charcoals to get hot, I'm going to put temperature probes in 2 different parts of the rib roast. I'm going to be cooking for my wife who's pregnant, and so I want one part of the meat to be temping at 145 degrees. That's probably going to be the outer edges here. And so she gets 2 pieces of steak and I kind of get the middle piece. And so the outer piece will probably need to be closer to 138 before I pull off the grill. And the middle piece will be closer to 130, hopefully achieving that medium rare that most people experience prime rib. It's actually closer to 120, but it's really hard to kind of get it where the side is 145 and the middle is at 120, and so I'm okay with medium rare. I'm actually going to be putting the temperature probes here because it will be closer to the edge of the grill here. And then again, the second probe is helpful. I'm going to put it right closer to here. I'm using the Chef IQ temperature probe. This actually has gotten really cheap nowadays. The 2 probe setup right now at Walmart is $90, and it's wireless, it's Bluetooth connected, and you can monitor your temperature of not only the meat, but the ambient temperature around the grill, which is very helpful when you're doing the low and slow on a Weber kettle, because the vent is usually over the meat. So therefore the opposite side of it is the temperature probe, and it's going to be right over the hot coals. So it's not going to be necessarily the most accurate temperature if you're relying strictly from the probe inside the Weber kettle. And so that's why I like the Bluetooth wireless thermometer. Actually, I'm getting impatient, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the tumbleweed here to get the fire started, because this is taking too long. What you don't want is smoke like that. I had forgotten to put the water between the meat and the charcoal. I added it on there and put it in slow-mo for you guys, but the idea of the water is to create steam inside the cooking chamber in order to put some moisture, just a little bit of moisture, onto the meat in order for that smoke flavor to adhere. And it also creates what I believe to be a thermal barrier between the heat source and the meat. All right, we are now 2 hours into the cook. The temperature inside the cooking chamber is around 257, 275 degrees internally, and I'm going to be showing you guys how I've achieved that temperature using the top vents and the bottom vents for this Weber kettle. All right, here's my vent setup. As you can see on the top here, we have it barely open at about a quarter, maybe even an eighth of the way open here at the top. And on the bottom, with this metal piece here between this dot and this dot, I think you're about halfway opening the vents at the bottom. All right, guys, we are hour 4 into the cook. The internal temperature of inside the center of the meat is 130 degrees, and on the outer edge is 145 degrees. I'm going to actually let it carry over higher than 145 degrees to be abundantly cautious for my pregnant wife, and we are gonna go check out what the meat looks like. As you can see, it has developed a nice little bark already, but I am going to still sear this to develop that bark even further. I've removed the rib roast and I have placed it over here to let it rest and kind of kill that temperature, and I'm going to sear it here over the hot coals, and I'll show you guys here in a second. I'm letting the rib roast cool down a little bit before I sear the sides of the roast. All right, I have let the roast rest for a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and sear it. I like to start with the top. Oh yeah, right there. I actually forgot the Italian seasoning, so I'm gonna be adding that. Just a little herb flavor. You don't want to add it too early. You don't want the herbs to burn. Usually people cook prime rib over Christmas. Yummy. The whole idea of searing the ribs is just adding some color to the meat. All right, guys, we are now almost in hour 5 of the cook. I decided to wrap it after it had cooled down some to basically keep it warm until we are ready to eat. And so I am going to go ahead and unwrap it and take off the temperature probe, as we no longer need to keep the temperature. Oh yeah. All right, hour 5 of the cook, we are gonna cut into it and see what it looks like on the inside. This outer edge will be for my wife, as it will most likely look a little bit more done. This is the outer edge. That looks like medium to me. And inside is what I'm going to be eating. Okay. I actually forgot to do the taste test, so I am going to be grabbing a little bite here off the center. Oh my goodness, this looks so good. I love me a good little crust. Oh man, that is really, really good. All right, I'm gonna go dig in with my family, but I'll see you guys next time.